Hi, I'm Jessica Murphy and I'm a ceramic artist. I've submitted a watering can that was pit fired during one of my classes last spring. And I've also submitted a series of 5 vases decorated with wetland images. Pit fired pieces are the pottery itself is fired in basically a campfire in my backyard, and the color on the pot comes from whatever combustible materials you put in the pit with the pottery. And the wetland vases are porcelain pieces that are painted with cobalt. They're reminiscent of Maiolica pottery and other pots coming from China and Japan. So the porcelain pieces that I'm painting with cobalt are inspired by wetlands. Wetlands are some of the most important ecosystems that we have. They're critical for filtering water, providing homes for migratory birds, and also mitigating flooding during flooding events. So, what I'm trying to do with the work is elevate wetland ecosystems. People tend to not want to live next to them because of mosquitoes. They're often the first ecosystems that are clear cut and filled in for parking lots. So, I'm trying to show how beautiful they can be and celebrate the wetland with the work that I'm making. Someday I intend to branch out into depicting other ecosystems as well, but for now, wetlands are really what I'm excited by. So it's pretty much all I'm doing still.
My name's Jeremiah, and I am a multidisciplinary artist. A lot of my work is experimental and physical artworks that I animate. So I do two-dimensional drawings, and I do installations using video and painting and fabric. So I'm kind of all over the place. Well, I'm not totally sure what I'm going to show in the gallery. I might just put up a simple video monitor and show some recent animation work. I also recently did a big video installation, and that incorporated like using shiny reflective surfaces and animated light installation work. So that could be really cool. So today I'm just trying to figure out if that's possible in the space without needing to do too much. Inspires me. Everything inspires me. I've definitely spent time in the studio after reading an article in the news, or thinking about different parts of my own life that I've experienced or things that I've seen. Things that I find that like ideas that stick with me tend to be the things that I make work about most often.
My name is Jenaway Pearson, and I'm a multimedia artist, but most of my work is in print and artist books. But that sort of runs the gamut of binding work, both historical and contemporary, paper making, box making, and all forms of printmaking. Right now, I am thinking that I will bring two artist books. One is my most recent work. It's called A Lady's Champion, and it is about expectations of marriage for female identifying figure skaters and the role that marriage has played in their career because of the Figure Skating Association and sort of pressures of that part of the skating world. And the other book is about Evel Knievel, who is an American daredevil. He's no longer with us, but really sort of about expectations of machismo and the binary and men and what that looks like in the world of sort of extreme sports. So most of the work that I have been making, am interested in making is about larger sort of themes, issues, ideas in society and culture that surround athletics and sports. I am so just in awe of one, the aesthetic that sort of surrounds games and uniforms and fans and all of the things that sort of coincide with that, but also sort of the larger societal themes about class and race that sort of really play out in American sports culture. And I think it's something that's really unique to the United States. And I think I just was drawn in by the aesthetic, but these were political themes that I was really interested in working with. And this felt like this perfect meeting of the visual and the ideology in one.
My name is Kristen Rigo, and I am a collage artist and painter. I've been working a lot on body of work based in collage. I use a lot of found materials. I've always been a collector in my work. My family owned a branch of grocery stores in the Cleveland area. So growing up, I was always just my world. Like the family business was the grocery store. So I always kind of felt a little bit at home, you know, like the smell of the produce and all the products. You know, people in general just have this very difficult relationship to commercial things. We're always sort of wanting that next thing or buying the thing right off the shelf. And it makes us feel good, even though we have less money after buying it. So I'm interested in the conflicted relationships we have with food and desire, and the alluring quality that food and packaging have. So I base a lot of my collage work directly from like the sides of cardboard boxes and the color that you see in like, you know, cereal boxes or like cleaning products, you name it. I didn't have a lot of art in my life growing up, but I knew that I liked to draw. And when I went to school, I went to the Ohio State University, a kind of school where you can take just about anything. And from the very first drawing class, it was like I quickly knew that that was the education I wanted. I was actually learning how to really see things. So it wasn't just, I didn't want to just be a consumer. Art had so much more meaning for me, and I just wanted to live a more meaningful life.
I'm Mick Bodner. I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I work in painting and photography, sculpture, video, sound, drawing. I think it's going to be a number of dramatic portraits that I've done, which also dovetails with my role here at DCC this semester, teaching photography, Digital Photography 1. Really, it comes down to people, the human condition, common humanity. When we look at art, and it doesn't matter what kind of genre it's in, whether it be impressionism or photorealism or romanticism or surrealism, there's a reason when you see a piece of art that stops you in your tracks. There's something that it's reaching in all of us that is incredibly powerful, and it spans generations, it spans centuries when everything comes together. And that's why some of these paintings that you see by Klimt or Van Gogh or Vermeer or sculptures by Rodin, Michelangelo, they still speak to us after all these years. And even though the cultural settings were very different in each of those eras, there's something that reverberates, that stays true to human interpretation. There's something there that resonates with us, even if all of the consequences around them were quite different.
My name is Lindsay Guile, and my pronouns are she, her. The kind of work that I do straddles between ceramics and drawing, but for this faculty exhibition, I'm showing ceramic pieces. The work that I'm showing, and one of them is right here. This is actually a self-portrait in clay, and the pieces that I are planning to exhibit with clay talk a lot about my experience as a neurodivergent person who has ADHD, and also as someone who lives with anxiety and depression. When I started making this piece, It was just really a portrait study, but I finished it during a time where I was really struggling with anxiety and depression. So the title of the piece is actually called I'm Not Okay, But I Will Be, because I wanted to show that point when you're really struggling, but you know if you just hold on, get help, that things will get better. And I like to think that I show that through kind of the line of glaze here that stops just below the eyes. And it's kind of got this like murky, muddy blue, which was an accident. And so it kind of feels like mud that might be pulling you down, but it also might feel like maybe they're tears that are going to overwhelm you. A lot of that is up to interpretation in the piece. The other works that I'm showing are a series of cast masks or press molds of masks. I really wanted to explore the idea of masking in ADHD, where you kind of put on this face and you go about your day. It's something that I didn't realize I did a lot of until I worked really hard to stop doing it. But in case of the pieces, they really explore this idea of what goes on behind the mask. And it's actually been a secret project. I haven't posted it online. I'm a big user of social media to promote my artwork, but it was something I really wanted to be personal and intimate and share when I'm ready. So I will share that also at the faculty show. Probably one of the greatest inspirations is actually my students who are coming in. I think it's a big generational difference between when I was in my late teens, early 20s to now I'm in my early 40s. Students come in and they're really open. The way they're open, it really helped inspire me to be open and talk about and also seek help. But also just the general conversations out in the world right now where people, especially due to the pandemic, are really talking about this and it's no longer shameful. So I hope through making this artwork, people can feel seen and it can inspire others to get help if they need it, or continue on the path to something brighter.
My name is Jesse Navarra, and I do kind of a mixture of art. I do some graphic design, I do some drawing, and I do some painting as well. So growing up, I was very into comic books. They were my number one thing as a kid, and I was also really big into Star Wars and stuff like Indiana Jones, and those movie posters were always done by a man named Drew Struzan, and that's kind of who I modeled some of my work after when I was in my master's. And then what really pushed me to go for it was around 2010 or 11, I went to Comic-Con in the city, went to Artist Alley and saw some of the work there. Most of it's amazing, but some of it I thought I could do better. So I decided to enroll back in school, and I ended up here. Sure. So for a few years, I worked in a design shop creating anything from billboards to yard signs for elections and stuff like that. One of the things we also did was design T-shirts, which is something I've always done kind of on the side. So what I'm going to be showing in this show is some of the T-shirts I've designed, whether it's just the design printout with mock-ups on people, or the shirts themselves will be hanging as well.
My name is Hulbert Waldrop, and I'm a visual artist. I do paintings, but I also make sculptures, and I dabble with a little invention every now and then. And I always have my hands full working on some new painting or designing some new sculpture or trying to perfect some time machine, perpetual motion machine or something. I kind of do two kinds of art, and that's art that matches people's curtains, more decorative art that is a little more sellable, easy to work with a decorator, but I also make art that matches people's personality or their outlook. I think it's an artist's responsibility to reflect the times they live in. So there's a lot to reflect right now going on. We have climate change, we have conflict, We have immigration. We've got a lot of stuff going on in New York State, but also in the country. I'm not trying to sell any art. I'm just trying to provoke thought and conversation. I know so many artists that start their day with some marijuana, you know what I mean, or hungover from last night. I like to start my day with the world news, a cup of coffee, take a long look at the world, and take out some of my anger or frustration, or just reflect on some of the events happening in the world. Unfortunately, a lot of my art matches the curtains, but I do make art that matches the present day that we live in. And I'm glad I'll have the opportunity to show another aspect of my art that is not, it's not seen. It's not so commercial, but I think it very impactful.